Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Goli Soda's The Sustainability Network. Goli Soda started in 2013 as a tiny little shop in Chennai, and yes, so we have our first person here. We started as a tiny store in 2013, and now we are pan-Indian because of our online store, www.golisodastore.com. Hi, Poonam.
Hi. I'm good.
How are
I'm good.
you?
Can you hear me?
Yes. So I was just starting off with our viewers. Let me just brief them about what we're going to do today.
Okay.
So since 2013, when Goli Soda started, we've been meeting some amazing people in the field of sustainability. And coincidentally, most of them seem to be women, which I'm very proud of. And we partnered with amazing people like Poonam here. And we thought this would be a great opportunity for us to meet each other, to introduce you to some people who are making a big difference in the space of sustainability. And today we have with us Poonam Bir Kasturi from Daily Dump. And hi. And Daily Dump works in the space of waste management. They have actually made us rethink about the garbage at home or what leaves our house. And for me personally, Poonam, why I'm very excited that you're the first person in this series is because you and Daily Dump have played a big role in actually starting Goli Soda. I don't know if you know that.
No, not really.
Okay, so quickly, let me tell you why I'm excited to have you as the first person here. So when I was starting to understand this whole concept of sustainability or how do I personally be eco-friendly, I came across your Kamba, the compost pots. And at that point, Chennai didn't have an outlet. And coincidentally, I was driving down to Bangalore. And I don't know if you remember, we met and we had this long chat.
I remember. Yeah.
And I picked up my first Combi, which is still running. So that would have been almost 2011 or 12. So that's another thing. If you buy one Combi, if you take good care of it, it will still take care of you. So that conversation made a big impact on me. But I just thought that would make an impact only on my personal life to be more sustainable. And when I came back, a friend of mine asked me, do you sell these pots in your cafe? So we run a little cafe. And I said, no, I just went to pick it up when I drove down to Bangalore. And then she said, you know what? You should start selling them at your cafe because many of us need these pots. So that was the first spark in me where I realized there were many people like me who want to lead a sustainable life and had no access to these products. And so Daily Dump was the first product that we started selling, and eventually Goli Soda happened. So I'm very, very happy to have you as the first person on this series.
Wow, I never knew the story. Thank you for sharing, Shruti.
I keep telling everybody the story. So every time I tell them it's because of me driving down to Bangalore and picking up that pot. And I owe it to my friend as well to giving me that little push.
No, but thank you. Thank you for actually being part of our journey and spreading the word because God only knows we need so many more people doing composting daily.
Yeah. So I told you about my journey, Goli Soda's journey. So tell me about Daily Dump's journey. How did that spark happen in you?
So I'm trained as an industrial designer from NID many, many years ago. And I was always taught that design means making connections with the whole system. And we were at an interesting time in the history of India where nation building was a cool thing to think about when you were students and things to discuss about. And also the conversation was how can design help create fresh solutions for our context. It was not cut, paste, copy from the West that we were looking at as an option. And so that kind of spurred my interest. And also my dad was a designer. And I was very clear that I wanted to work on something that I could make sense of. And as I grew and I looked at the world around me, I couldn't make sense of most of it. I didn't understand why there was so much of inequality, so much of, hidden power that was calling the shots, and we were all being conditioned to think in a certain way and be a certain kind of person or do a certain kind of business, or and even what did business really mean, and all of those. I think when you're young, you have the energy and the ability to question everything. So I was one of those slow learning questioners. That's all I was. And in the process, one thing led to the other. It was not planned. I started off with small scale industries, set up something, started doing education. And from there, I think it fructified in my head that sustainability was something that design could contribute very meaningfully to. And that's when I decided, I told my students, I said, there's a new way of doing business. There's a new way of looking at the world that people are starting, and we need to do more of it. And they would all turn and say it was idealistic. So I said, okay, now I'm going to go out there and prove that this is possible. So that's how I started. Yeah.
But
and
then why garbage? But why garbage? Why garbage?
Because I felt it was something that needed doing, and it was not the problem. It was a symptom of a larger problem. And I felt that if I worked with garbage, I could help people understand that it was a symptom, and the larger problem also needed addressal and needed everybody's participation. You can't solve the big problems without people being involved. It doesn't work like that. Like we're seeing across the world now, whether it's Black Lives Matters, whether it's a migrant crisis, where all of us are just not aware that these are big systemic problems, structural problems. And so we have to keep telling the story about, you may think that this is waste. So when people ask me, are you in the waste management business? I say, no, I'm not. I'm in the mindset and spotlighting business. I bring the spotlight into something and have a conversation and help myself think about it, and hopefully other people also think about it. But it's a safe space. I mean, it's not like I'm not preaching down or giving a sermon or showing only one right way. I'm saying, let's all look at it and see what we can do, and creatively be part of the solution.
I like the fact that
I'm an OCD on cleaning also, maybe that's why. My roommate from NID definitely thinks I got into it because I like cleaning.
You have to meet my mom as well. Yeah, but I like the fact that design plays a huge role in what you do. And I think our first connect with you is also because of that. Because even at Goli Soda, if you know, I'm basically a filmmaker and a creative person. So how can you use your creative energy to make a positive difference? And design is the base for all that. And I love the fact about how you took a simple pot. And we all know the theory of composting. We have all studied that in school. We've all seen a pot, but you put the two theories together and gave us something amazing. So, but I'm sure in the initial years,
good product design. It's not even good product design. I mean, in the sense, it's just, that's what I keep telling people. What have I done? I've done nothing. The pot was there, composting was there. Actually, I've done nothing, and I think that's the. I think that's the beauty of it. When you don't do much, right, and you let things happen naturally and you connect them naturally, there's real power that doesn't rest in you. It rests in so many other things that happen normally then.
And you were the pioneer to do that, because I would always, like, my husband Ashwin is into the arts.
Right.
And every time I see an artwork, you can even see one behind, I would say, hey, even a child can do this, or I can do this.
Right.
But he would say that, but that artist did it first. So I think you did it first. So that's what makes Daily Dump unique. And I'm sure you have set an example for other companies who are now doing similar things, making us look as waste as something very important, especially in India, to look into. But I'm sure when you started off, yes, which is good. Which is good.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe a lot of education has to go into making people understand. But do you think because of this ripple effect, you think the level of which you need to educate people has come down because
Of
of that?
course, of course, of course.
So that's
Because it's
good.
all the evangelists who became natural carriers of this story forward. And the fact remains that because it's so simply designed, people don't have a problem owning it. They don't
Yes.
feel that they're copying anything. And which is what is important. Can we make things that can replicate, people can own without having to go through taking, and still get the message? What is the core message? We all need to get involved. We all need to manage our waste. So that anybody can do. Why should only Daily Dump do it?
Yeah. But I think, as I said, you were the first, and you made many people's job easier in educating people about the whole concept of segregating and composting. It's become the way of life for many people, but there's more to go. I'm sure there's never enough. There's more and more people that need to practice and make this a way of living. That's what I personally believe.
Yeah.
But I'm sure when you started Daily Dump, first of all, I'm sure you would have got second looks by when you said your business is called Daily Dump.
Yeah.
But what did you? Because you were the pioneer, I'm sure you would have faced a lot of hurdles and roadblocks, which I'm sure you've overcome. But would you like to share some of those things? Or I'm sure some might be even comical.
Yeah. No, I think the most funniest thing is when I stand, even now sometimes when I stand next to a khamba and a stall. It can be a corporate place, or mainly in a stall with a fair, right? There's a gardening fair or something like that. I would have senior people come to me, look at me and say, "Ye aapki hobby hai kya?" And so the thing was, it was like, because A, we're women, B, it doesn't look like it's a gadget it's got software and it's an app or it's something that looks complicated.
Yeah.
The people try to fit you into this thing about, okay, your this is not your mainstay, or this doesn't really require professional expertise at all. So the dismissal that there is absolutely no effort, yeah, and it was so implicit in how they speak to you that this is not serious. I mean, come on, this can't be serious stuff. Serious stuff is in a PPT. Serious stuff is in when you go to government offices. Serious stuff is when you go into corporate offices and you look a certain way. And so that, I think, was one of the biggest mindset blocks that I would face. But I would always joke about it. I would always turn it around and say, yeah. My husband doesn't look after me at all. You know what to do. Or if I was really feeling in a fighty mood that day, I'd fight with them. So it was a gradual building up of, we have now about a lakh of people doing composting only with our products. We're not talking about all the people who are doing our competitor products. Mm-hmm. So that's not a small number to squeeze at. Even a corporate guy won't squeeze at they won't laugh at that number. So
do you think you're facing newer hurdles now?
Of course, yes. I think
what?
I think, but we are asking. It's a self-reflective kind of hurdle. We're saying, what should we actually be doing now? Now that we have done this, with all our knowledge and all our expertise, what's the next big lever we can fix? Or which the systemic lever we can pull? And we're on that phase. Because the company is established and there's a certain team. Till now, we really didn't have a team. Now the team is forming. So one can see some kind of structure coming into this space. But we need to think about what is next. And the recent 4 months of challenges that the world also has seen has also brought its own light to what should be next. That's the question we're asking.
Yeah. I feel my personal experience in this, like, that's a question that I want to ask everybody on this series. Like, what has the lockdown taught you personally and professionally? For me, I feel people have become a little bit more aware of the way they have been living before and now. Why say we? I have actually noticed a lot more people coming forth and saying, hey, I want to switch into, say, this washable sanitary pad, or I want to start composting. I have seen this lockdown as a very positive way in some ways, even though the way we do business also will have to change. But what has it been for you, besides, of course, what next, but personally and professionally, what have you felt during this period of lockdown?
Personally, I was very, I was disturbed that the India projected by the media as this trillion dollar, whatever economy is sitting on such, I mean, the foundation sucks big time. So professionally, personally, I think that was, and for me, it was like, wow, we haven't done anything in education. We've not built a democracy. We've not done anything in education. I think personally that lesson was very, very clear to me during that time. But I enjoyed the break personally because I had been working madly. So it was a respite for me. Professionally, I think we got enough space to rethink about what is it that we're good at? What should we do? And that conversation started, which was good.
That's good.
And
Yeah.
we could actually look after our people well. So that was also good.
That's good. And talking about this whole, the foundation of India, um, I personally believe that sustainability is not just about buying eco-friendly products or, organic products. It's also creating sustainable living, income for people. And in this lockdown, more so, when you see these people who had been uprooted from their homes to work in a different space, and then we talk about them trying to go back to their homes, but people have not addressed the fact that why were they uprooted in the first place.
Yeah.
And that, I feel, maybe a lot of it is because things like traditional crafts and cottage industries were not respected, and of course agriculture. So I feel a product like yours addresses is truly sustainable, in the sense you're not tempted to make, I mean, of course you do have a version, but your primary product is a terracotta product. You're providing income to traditional potters. So can you talk about that? Can you tell people that buying Kamba is not just about cleaning the cities, it's also about the livelihood? Can you talk about the potters you work with, and
I think
stories about them?
like you said, sustainability is not only about the product. It's about the entire life cycle of the product. And you cannot make and there is no right sustainable choice. It depends on the context. It depends on where you are. It depends on where the product is coming from, who made it, in what circumstances what is made, the wages were fair or not, how much energy was used. So there's a huge set of parameters that no one person can know fully before they decide to buy a product. But this understanding that this is a complex choice to make, I find is missing. We think that it's either black or white. It's not. And if you have to get away from the black and white idea, and you have to say, okay, how can I develop my judgment level? How can I develop a judgment saying, okay, in this context, this works actually is much more sustainable than this. And very often, sometimes the decision may be counterintuitive. And so I find this is a very interesting, I always get surprised that we've not been able to train young people in India to think like this. Everybody wants either black and white, or they want something that's justified. Sometimes it's very messy. It's very ambiguous. And you have to deal with that ambiguity when you're making those choices. So I really get fascinated by that, because when people tell me, why don't we advertise very largely on how much benefit our potter community has got, my response to that is that actually, if I really had to do all that I could for them, it would include education for all their children for the next 50 years, which I don't have the ability to in the price of the product.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't advertise it. But the fact remains on the other side, because of the work we've done in Telangana, the government has put a 2 crore common soil facility for them, which is
Okay.
huge, which put in
Yeah.
machines and all of that. And that has generated a whole bunch of entrepreneurs from the ground up over there. And they are taking, they're doing other products. They're doing, so it's created a vibrant economy over there.
Lovely.
So to that extent, we have been able to do it. But in my head, I know for a fact that if we don't also build their soft skill capability, they will not be able to rise to the level that maybe your children and my children can.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the conundrum for even people like us.
Actually, talking of which, I had a small incident story that I had with Potter I met in Kanchipuram. No, Kumbakonam. And we visited his house, as usual, very humble background. And we were very curious about, and he said he's been doing this for many generations. And we asked, what about your son? He said his son, he took a loan and ensured he studied engineering.
Yeah.
And when he studied engineering, he tried getting a job, went somewhere, lost his job, or it didn't work out for him. And now the son has realized that there is no scope for him in the way he studied his engineering. Probably it's a very not ambiguous college or university.
Yeah.
And he came back to his dad and said, I want to learn pottery and carry the family business forward, craft forward. But the father was actually a little disappointed, not because the son would have a kind of lifestyle that he's been struggling with. He was more upset that he didn't teach his son pottery from a very young age, because he said, we were taught in a way because the hands will get used to the way to create the pot. And now when he's coming to me at this age, I don't know how to teach him. Yes.
Yeah.
So that story really hit me, actually. About the son is now going this, not going this way, not that way. He's now stuck in the middle.
Yeah. In fact, even in the potters villages that we worked in, the children, the next generation, have all decided not to go to the cities. They've decided to take over their and some of them have become quasi managers. All right, they don't know pottery themselves, so then they hire other people. So I was telling this main guy, I said, see, you should have taught your kids pottery, no? He says, no, that is now become class. Now, I don't want them to do. I want them to hire. So so you can't decide this for other people, right? They have to take their own decisions on it. But I think what we have managed to do is we've managed to energize that space and build in the market for them to get steady income, which is guaranteed, which they don't have to take loans against and pay big interest. They get credit from us. So all of that helps them kickstart that energy in that ecosystem. Yeah.
That's lovely. So can you tell us a bit about your research process? Because I'm sure research is a constant thing. It's not like you made the Kamba and you've said, okay, we've got the best product here. I'm sure you have diversified in many other kinds of composting, like the metal leaf composter or the puja flower composters. So research seems to be an ongoing thing. So what is the process of your research?
I think it's coming from the design process of need finding and looking for insights where because you also have some experience in this sector, right? So you look to make connections either when you're reading a paper or you're meeting customers, or you're actually living your own lives and thinking about what next. So it's a constant thing. But if I was to frankly, somebody asked me what would I like, I would say I would like to have enough time to do more research or more design work. I get very little time sometimes, to my own dissatisfaction, because I would love to do more design work, because then it finally actually adds to solutions. So so this is one of those things we're going to do this year. Make sure that I have enough time to do more design. But that's very important. And our research is action-based research. We do prototyping. We go and test. We don't sit and write research papers in that sense. That's not our forte, and neither are experts. So we do more from, okay, what can I see? What can I connect? What can I try out?
So is it just you, or you have a team working on the research side?
So we partner with other people, like,
Okay.
but now I do have a designer working on the team, and
Okay.
we have interns who come in because
Okay.
designers actually are very expensive. People
Yeah.
ask me, "You're a design-led brand." I said, "Boss, I'm a design-led brand, but I can't afford designers."
But does a lot of your design research ideas come from the customers as well? Do they come to you and say,
Yes,
"Hey, I
yes,
need something like this," or "Can you solve a
yeah,
problem like this?"
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. A lot of feedback comes in from the customers also, and I think that also it comes from our partners. Like they
Okay.
will say that this happened here, this happened there. We've done a lot of mistakes also. I mean, in the sense we developed a product called the month and didn't work. We developed we put in a lot of money, trying to develop potters in Rajasthan. The mud was completely bad.
Okay.
So we've tried all kinds of things, either from the development of community production to products itself that we would engineer. In fact, we have a product coming out at the end of this month.
Okay.
Large
Look
scale
forward.
community composter, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, and viewers, if you want to shoot out some questions to either Poonam or me, we'll be happy to answer your questions. But let me start with a very basic question now that we're talking about waste management and composting. Why must one compost?
So, compost actually, there are many reasons one must compost, but let me start with a very basic one. Your dustbin, everybody's dustbin in India has 60% by weight that is organic. Now, if we send that organic waste that is mixed with plastic or batteries every day, so what we're doing is we're spending our taxpayers, that's our money, all of us pay taxes. Taxpayers' money is going to pick up poison from every house. Every house will generate one bucket of poison. Taxpayers' money is picking that poison, taking it, transporting poison, dumping poison. And that poison is coming back to bite us through either air, water, and soil. Now, when you have epidemic breakouts, they all point to some imbalance in the system. Something has been broken. And this breaking this or accumulating large amounts of toxic waste at one location, we think it's all contained within that one location. It's never contained. That the toxicity of that spreads. It spread from one country to the other. This will spread from the neighborhood in your end of your, the edge of your city into your homes. So now, how does one get people to understand that? Because they can't see it, it's out of sight, out of mind. So the interesting thing is that if you understand that this 60% can be converted into very rich compost, and this compost, when you put back into soil, can sequester carbon from the atmosphere, and that you suddenly become a climate champion, then you say, oh, is that easy? But of course, your mind will tell you that it'll smell, it'll have
Yeah.
worms, and you'll hear
Yeah.
all horror stories, and you say, this is
Yes.
not for me.
Yeah,
Fair
I get
enough.
that a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so fair enough. I get. Of course, it shouldn't smell. I wouldn't like something that smells in my house, right?
Yeah.
But the beauty is when you actually examine it, um, the beauty is it's a chemical reaction. Even I didn't know it before I started. Then I had to research and then actually met some scientists and they showed me the equation. They said nitrogen is your kitchen waste. You have to add carbon to this equation because finally composting is a chemical reaction. So if you have nitrogen and carbon and oxygen on this side of the equation, on the left, which is and with H2O, because our kitchen waste is 70% water. So nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, and water will start decomposing to give you carbon dioxide and methane and whatever you compost and release water. Carbon dioxide and methane don't smell. If you don't have enough carbon on the left-hand side of the equation, you'll get hydrogen sulfide and ammonia. That's what it smells.
Ooh. Yeah.
So the only thing you need to do is to add enough carbon in on your kitchen waste daily. And the
Okay.
best source of carbon is cocoa peat powder, dry cocoa peat powder, not wet cocoa peat powder. If you put wet cocoa peat powder, it'll create a little more problem because it doesn't absorb the water that's released in composting.
Yes.
Composting is also an exothermic reaction. It releases heat and water. So that water needs to be absorbed. So that is why people who come to me and say, have a problem with smell, I'll say, smell, I'll sort out. Smell, it will not smell at all. You can keep it next to your bed and it will not smell. All right. But they'll come and say about worms. So worms, there will be worms. There will be creatures. There will be ants. There even may be a lizard. But the beauty is they're all harmless. And then people say, how can I deal with that? I can't. I can't deal with worms. I can't deal with... So, but the beauty is once you understand the composting process, you understand you can contain it. And we have solutions for everything. Worms come out, we'll give you a solution. Ants come in, we'll give you a solution. And over time, what will happen is you'll suddenly start saying, oh, I inhabit this world with insects. Hello.
My husband calls it my friends. He'll say your friends have come. But what I also tell the customers who come to us is like, if you follow, I think your guidelines and your book, you have sorted all this out. Like if this comes, if worms come, is because of the soldier flies. This can be prevented. So I just tell people, you just follow our booklet, you won't have a problem.
Yeah.
So I think, as you said, you have the solution for everything. And if you're somebody like me who doesn't care, then my friends have come and I would spend some good time with them.
Yeah. No, but I think these are valid concerns. I wouldn't want to pay money and bring a product into my house that is going to give me problems. But I keep telling people, I said, you pay good money and you buy a fridge, right? What does a fridge do? It delays death. It takes a tomato today and increases its life by two more days. Maybe, right? So it's delaying the death of the tomato. What does composter do? Composter takes something that you think is dead and gives life to it. It makes it fresh again. It makes it life-giving. So that's a different spirit. That's a different energy. And if not in India, where else can we talk like this? I mean, we are a land which has stories of spirits and good vibes and bad vibes and doshams and all of this. So this is a great thing to look at.
And it becomes so much of a habit that when I go to somebody else's house whom they don't compost, it feels like something's wrong with me if I'm just putting all my wet waste into it becomes such a way of living. That's what I tell people. It's like sort of meditation or yoga, as I say. It's a way of living. It becomes like you wake up and you brush your teeth, and then you just finish your cooking and compost your waste, and it becomes a way of living for everybody at home. So coming to that, like how for most people it's like, okay, I don't want to do this, or most of us, okay, now times are different, we are doing most of the work at home, but most of us are used to outsourcing it to the help at home. How does one train the help at home to get used to dealing with the kamba or the wet waste or maintaining it? Is it educating them very different from how you would educate a regular customer or somebody? How does one work as a team to maintain the kamba?
So we have a very interesting film online called the Sumati film, and it's in Kannada, and it's very easy to understand for maids. In fact, we made it for maids, and I think if you showed the film to your maid, if you actually did it 3 times with her, and then you also added maybe 200 rupees more on her thing for doing it well, I think you got it sorted. You need to do all 3, but you need to educate, you need to mimic and guide, and then you need to reward.
One question that I keep getting from many of my potential customers who have not yet converted to buying the kamba, people still call me to clear their doubts. One question they have is, I don't have a garden at home. What will I do with this? So what is your reply to that?
So the world is your garden, but more important, what we found is that the minute you have extra compost and you are connected on the social media, you have an Instagram account, your Facebook account, you put up a little post or a line that says, I have extra homemade compost. You will find that somebody's going to get in touch with you and say, give it to me. This is our experience. So everybody's, whoever's gardening, and gardening is becoming more and more prevalent in urban centers, even
Yes.
if it's for house plant, even if it's for desk plant. People understand they need compost.
Yes.
And so those guys will figure you out and come and take it from you. And
I'm
if you
working on
still,
a
yeah, and if you still don't have anybody picking it up, go to a nearby tree and put it and do namaskar. According to me, that's the best puja you can do.
yeah. So I'm working on a blog on this question. So I think you've covered most of the points that I've been thinking. My thing was similar to yours. I'm sure there would be a friend in your circle who is a uh, avid gardener, and no, any gardener would love the smell of compost, and
Yeah.
it would be the best gift you'll be gifting them. I mean, I have many such friends who,
Yeah.
when I say I have compost, they go yippee, yes.
Yeah.
And yes, have a throw it under a tree, or sometimes I even say, even if you put it in your throw it in your garbage can, it's not as bad as
Yeah.
just throwing your wet waste as it
Yeah.
is. But putting it in your community tree or something, that would be the best thing that you could do, and you can actually see the difference it's doing to
Yeah.
the plant or the tree. What compost can do.
Absolutely.
Uh, so, do you think working with children is probably easier to make them understand? Because I remember when I came with you, I came with my cousin who was
Yes.
extremely, she
Yeah.
was very young, still in school, and she was very excited that I was meeting somebody who works in the space of composting. So tell me how you involve children, or if we have children at home, how do we train them, or how maybe it's easier to get the point across through children as well if the parents are
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
not convinced. Yeah.
But I think that's very important to work with kids. Kids get it immediately. But what kids are asking us back, kids are asking adults. They're saying, okay, this is all very good, but will this get me a job? So my answer to that is, of course, it'll make you get your better job. Because if you go into Harvard tomorrow, you want to write your statement of purpose and you say you believe in composting, there's a better chance of you getting it.
Okay. So I think, Poonam, this was a wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I
Thank you,
think
Shruti.
it was nice catching up with you also after a
Yes,
long time.
yes. And congratulations again on your child. I
Oh,
wish
thank
you
you.
all
Thank you.
good, great motherhood. Please give it lots of time. I didn't give my son enough time. So I tell everybody,
Thanks
please
to
give
the
yourself.
lockdown, we are giving her enough and more time, so much that she would just say, please let me get out of the house. I think she will go to college by the time the lockdown is over, I guess. So, but we're not complaining. So, thank you so much, and very good luck to the new product that you're going to launch. I'm very
Yes, yes.
curious.
We'll keep you informed. Yeah, yeah. Thank
Yes.
you very much, Shruti. It was wonderful speaking to you. And I wish Goli Soda all the best in this new phase of it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. So, thank you all for listening and watching to our first guest on the Sustainability Network. We'll be up tomorrow again at 7 with another interesting founder of an amazing sustainable brand. And we have more and more to come. And please feel free to throw questions at us, and we'll be happy to answer anything related to sustainability, being eco-friendly, planning to make the switch. We are all here to help you through this and have a sustainable life forward. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.